It's a pleasure, as always, to have Jasper LiCalzi from College of Idaho in Caldwell as our guest this week to kind of look back at some of the big issues happening at the Statehouse. And it has nothing to do with the president's visit this week.
I'm worn out on that.
We are
Both of us.
We are a little tired of that, but it was a very exciting day. Medicaid and Medicare, how it all, speaking of Obamacare, how it relates to that, what's happening with the legislators in our state.
In our state, because JFAC, the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, they were dealing with Medicaid this week. And a lot of people don't understand Medicaid, Medicare. Medicare, principally for the elderly, Medicaid for the needy. Medicare is completely national, where Medicaid, 70% paid by the national government, 30% by the state. And that's a big chunk, too. That's about $500 million. It's almost $500 million that Idaho spends on Medicaid. So then people are like, well, who gets it? Well, if you look at what the stats are, 90% of the people who get Medicaid are either children, the disabled, or the elderly, because it covers some things that Medicare doesn't, like nursing homes. And if you look at it totally, 75% of the people who get Medicaid are actually children. So it's like, well, how come those lazy people aren't working and getting it? It's that's who a lot of them are. It's also, a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of waste and such in there. If you actually look at Medicaid also, only 3% of it goes to administrative costs. That 97% of the money from Medicaid goes to providers and such like that. And actually in the last couple of years, the number of people on Medicaid's increased, but the cost per patient on Medicaid has actually gone down. So it's actually getting a little more efficient. The issue now is with Obamacare.
Right. I was just saying, what are the new challenges for JFAC compared to this time last year?
And some of it's JFAC, they need to spend more money. The governor wants about 3% more. But when the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was passed, the idea was people get Medicaid or those up to 100% of the poverty level. That's the way it's always been. Well, with the Affordable Care Act, they said, we want that expanded up to 138% of the poverty level. And then if you're from 138% of the poverty level up to like 200% of the poverty level, you get subsidies to help pay on the exchange for your insurance. Well, the Supreme Court said, you know, that expansion, since it's also a state program, state can decide whether they're going to expand or not. Idaho said, no, we're not going to expand. So now you've got the issue where if you're up to 100% of the poverty level, you get Medicaid. If you're 138% or higher, you get subsidies. But if you make between 100% of the poverty level and 138% of the poverty level, you don't get anything. So you have this like donut hole of people who aren't really getting covered, and that's an issue. Everyone sees an issue. How do you deal with it? Will
they, JFAC, have this with them the entire session? Is this something they want to try to figure out and settle some kind of an agreement in the early part of the session, or does this drag on?
I think this is dragged on even beyond, because what the governor said he wants to reform Medicaid. Right. What he wants it to be is, okay, we don't mind people being on Medicaid, but we want it to have incentives so that you have a healthy lifestyle type of thing, to give you incentives to make good health choices. And then, but no one's really gotten too far with that. What the governor's asked for is that they'll have hearings about Medicaid and expansion and how we're going to deal with this. I think we might not do anything more than hearings this
So we may be talking about this in the weeks to come.
Right.
There's a lot of big issues happening again this week. Jasper will be back next Sunday to talk about that and try to squeeze it into 3 minutes, which is tough to do.
Especially for me.
Especially for him.